Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. Well, my guest on the program is the perfect gentleman. Before he attained the age of 50, he had achieved so much already, academically and even in the public service.
Chukwuemeka Ngozi Chineke Wogu is a legal practitioner, arbitrator and conciliator, former local government chairman of Aba South, former Minister of Labor and Productivity, and supervising Minister of Interior. Emeka was born on the 29th of January 1965 in Umuahia, Abia State. He graduated from the old Imo State University, now Abia State University, in 1986 and proceeded to the Nigerian Law School. After his National Youth Service in Police College, Norwa, he joined the law firm of Maksubani & Co. in 1988 and started a professional career in legal practice. He later joined active politics. He holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of Calabar in 2004, a master's degree in public policy analysis from Nasarawa State University, and also a doctorate degree in political science from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Emeka's career as an elected and/or appointed public servant cuts across the three tiers of government, beginning as elected vice chairman of Aba South local government area in Abia State, and later becoming the chairman. He was special advisor to the governor of Abia State, two-term federal commissioner representing Abia State at the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. He was appointed the Minister of Labor and Productivity by the Goodluck Jonathan administration, an office he held till 2014 when he resigned from the cabinet. He is a recipient of the prestigious national honor of Commander of the Niger, CON, and numerous fellowship awards from professional bodies. He is a traditional title holder. Emeka Wogu is married with children.
Hello, Emeka Wogu. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Manny. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're looking all white.
Well,
Somebody would have called you an angel.
Well, I can be an angel. I'm not yet an angel, but my life does not need to be stained just like my white apparel.
Interesting.
So I must live a life without stains.
Where did you grow up?
Well, I started growing up in Aba, the great city of Aba, because I'm born native of Aba, and I went to secondary school and primary school. And I started primary school in Aba. Then I went to secondary school in Holy Ghost College, Owerri. I didn't finish from Holy Ghost College, Owerri. I got transferred to Ngwa High School, Aba, because my educational trajectory followed the civil service trajectory of my father. Each time he's on the move, we have to move with him. So I kept on moving, from Adventist High School, primary school, to the Constitution Christian Primary School, which was Santa Maria, Aba, then Holy Ghost College, Owerri, then Ngwa High School. Then before I went to the university.
And in the university, you studied law.
I did.
Growing up, what were you like? What were the kind of things, occupying your mind that you'd like to become in the future?
I was restless. My father really wanted me to, because I left secondary school at the age of 15. So he wanted me to do a 4-year program in mathematics, go on to become an engineer, and then probably have a PhD in engineering. And all that we are programmed, between 15 and 24, 9 years, But somehow, I felt that I need to, discover myself and all that. So I eventually left the idea of becoming a mathematician or an engineer, and I followed law. And it paid off, but my father was angered that I didn't pursue that career.
And he was angered that you became a lawyer?
That I deviated from becoming an engineer. But eventually, when I became a lawyer, he was happier.
Let's even look at your public career, as a public servant. Yeah, you started from the local government.
Yeah.
Yeah?
After I finished my youth service 1988 in Rivers State, there were so many job offers, including to be recruited into the Nigerian police force because I did my youth service.
That's where you served.
Yes, I did my youth service then with the police. I said no, that I want to go back and start law practice, make money, and go into politics. You see the sequence: make money and go into politics. Not to go into politics to make money. So, and God blessed me that way, in that sequence. I left, went to law practice, combined it with business that included making locally wigs and gowns for lawyers, including book distributorship and contracts.
That's ingenious.
So by 89, when I was barely 24 years old, I made my 1 million doing all those services, rendering services to the law profession, and then a little bit of the contract. I built the Aba spare parts market at that age. Then I decided that this is the time to go into politics.
Did you not spend money going into politics?
I never spent money, but I had money. I made money. So I didn't bribe my way into politics, but my money was used in mobilizing people to join our own party. We got elected, me and Chief Ngozi Aniyehe, who is a traditional ruler in Nkwere now, in Imo State, in 1991 as vice chairman. I was vice chairman, he was chairman. But that was after my outing in Libra Convention, which was not registered. Babangida put in place 2 political parties, the NRC and the SDP. And in 1991, he created Abia. So I returned to Abia to play my politics. So I was persuaded. I didn't go lobbying to become a vice chairman. I was persuaded to join the ticket of Chief Ngozi Aniyehe on the NRC to win the election, and which we did. Then along the line, there were some constitutional issues that came up, and I became an acting chairman and chairman of the local government.
Of all your years in the public service and all the positions you've held in the public service, which has been the most challenging for you?
Well, I would say that being appointed Minister of Labor and Productivity was challenging because...
I thought it would be. I don't know if there's any Minister of Labor, past or present, that will say anything different.
Well, I would begin by saying I didn't lobby for the office. I was asked to come and serve. And he was the former national chairman of People's Democratic Party, Chief Vin Obulafo, that asked me to present my papers that I would be appointed a minister. And my initial reaction was that I told him I was going to run for Senate. And what am I going to achieve for the country in 13 months? So, and when I looked at it, I'm the second person from my own area of Abia State to become a minister. The first was distinguished Senator Jaja Wachuku, who equally resigned from cabinet in 1966. So it took 44 years before another person became minister. So on that ground, I said, let me take it.
And you successfully negotiated the new minimum wage, didn't you?
Yeah.
Before you left?
Twice. One was a salary increase at the federal government level for federal government civil servants. And that was what signaled my entry as Minister of Labor and Productivity. Because when I was appointed Minister of labor and productivity. I was assigned that portfolio. On resumption in office, the civil service at the federal level was on strike.
How did you manage to negotiate successfully?
Because I had
a
the president who believed in me and my capabilities and all that. So when we got back to the villa, he looked at the demands and everything. So based on his body language, I knew that he would want some change. So
do you think what we have today as a minimum wage is appropriate for the average worker?
No, I had a figure before becoming a minister. I told you I was I was a federal commissioner representing IBA in the Revenue Commission. So Revenue Commission had 36,000 as their recommendation there. But some state governments came with 62,000. Some came with this. But when we looked at it, because salary fixing has to do with revenue profile, sustainability, and all that. So by the time we put it through objectivity test, it didn't survive, because you need to have something that will be objective, not subjective.
Are you surprised or not surprised that many state governments are yet to pay?
Payment of salaries ordinarily should not pose any problem. Once you determine the right size of your public civil servants, and then shade the ones that are now referred as ghosts, non-existent workers, and you have the right size, the right sizing, then you will be able to pay.
You're a lawyer. Are you surprised that, people go on for more than a year without being paid monthly salaries, and they are not, taken to court?
Well, I feel for the labor unions and their leadership, because, they've been complaining. And I don't see any justification for any state government or local government not to pay salaries of their workers at the end of the month. At the federal level, there's no problem, because salaries are already accommodated in the national budget. So whatever comes is already budgeted for based on the revenue profile. So, and in the states too, they have their budget, which has accommodated recurrent expenditure, which is the salary aspect of it and capital. And they get their allocation every month. And there are some states, if they harness the internally generated revenue, might not have any business to come cap in hand to Abuja at the end of every month.
Was there any sort of negotiations you left undone? For instance, the ASU people are on a strike.
I think the current Minister of Labor and Employment has been talking to them alongside with his colleagues in the Ministry of Education. My advice is that agreement should be renegotiated. They're under an atmosphere of trust on both parties, and not one party to see the other as an enemy, not on an adversarial approach. And then I wish Senator Ngige the best of luck. Because, and with his colleague in Ministry of Education, because what he's trying to resolve didn't start with him or this administration. It started in 2009. And we tried our best.
Do you have any thoughts on the recent demonstration and protests?
You mean the current problem we passed through? Well, I'm happy that the government has been able to address the demands of the end SARS protesters. because they came with a list of demands. And from the address of Mr. President before the last one, the penultimate address, and that of the Inspector General of Police, you find out that most of the contents of that initial demand has been met by the government.
Pick a question and answer the question.
Oh, this is a lovely one.
Is it?
Were you ever
you.
indicted of any fraud-related matter while in government or after service? The answer is no. Chukwuemeka Wogu has never been indicted before.
Well, within the ministry where you served, there was no stories of fraud or fraudulent practices that you became aware of?
Well, when I was there, nothing. It was only when I left office that I started reading in the newspapers,
Was it in the revenue mobilization that you functioned for about 10 years?
Oh, yes. I came in there in 2000 as a member representing Abia State in the commission. I served variously as chairman of so many committees and member of so many committees.
And you're one of those that...
So I was particularly involved in the resolution of disputed oil wells and boundaries between the littoral states. And then that saw to the return of 44 oil wells back to Abia State.
Were you involved in determining the salaries and allowances of members of the House or the National Assembly?
Oh, yes. I told you at a time our chairman of remuneration and of public officers and certain judicial
so
officers.
You were one of those that gave those assembly members high salaries and
I think,
allowances?
No. What was given, the salaries, the act is there for everybody to look at. In fact, what I even recommended when I was chairman of that committee was that there was a dichotomy between the salary of a minister and minister of state. I said no, the constitution recognizes minister from each state. So instead of having a salary that was for minister of state and salary for the minister, we collapsed it into a single distinct. A minister does not earn up to 2 million, just like a member of the House of Representatives. So the act is there, and the figures I see, 30 million, 300 million, it wasn't recommended by us, and is not their salary. Their salary is as contained in certain political office holders and judicial officers act. And it is clear, with allowances attached. When we got the hint that the salary of, we said no as a revenue commission, that is not their salary. So we invited the leadership to revenue commission, relevant committees and all that. So we asked them that the public domain, they said no. They brought their pay slip, and which was in consonance with what we recommended. And we took them up on the official card, because no public office is supposed to have an official card. I never had as minister. I never allowed them to supply me newspaper as Minister of Labour, because it's part of my salary. So when we asked them, they said they don't have official cards. That what they have are committee vehicles. So if they are buying committee vehicle for monitoring, in fact they said monitoring vehicles for a committee chairman and vice chairman. The law did not say you will not have monitoring vehicles. The law said you should not have official vehicles. And the idea was that when we had official vehicles, a stores officer will come and be changing tires, So, but when these things are monetized, it is given to them as a loan. Even the National Assembly members are entitled to car loans, which they have all taken, which is to be taken out of their salaries. And by the time they are severing from National Assembly, whatever is left from their housing loan and car will be deducted from the severance allowance. So those things are clear. So I don't know why they are not coming to the public domain to bring out what they are doing. When we confronted them in revenue, they came with their slips.
What were the sort of challenges you faced while working with the mobilization, revenue mobilization?
Our challenges were when we discover leakages, particularly concerning domestic crude and other things. We'll try to push it. But when you come against your employers, because we were all appointed by a president, it might not be savory. Most times it becomes unsavory, but we kept on pushing. And most people didn't believe us. But after some of us left the commission, I left and became, after 10 years, close to my leaving the commission, I was made the minister. So I was on the other side too. When I was on the other side, we were seeing all, seeing it from the revenue. We are supposed to be policemen of the Federation account and all that. We never believed there should be something like SS crude account because it's not legal. So we fought it.
When did you start thinking of a family in between all of this?
Well, I told you I became an orphan at 21, having lost both parents. And then I achieved wealth early by 24 and power, political power. And there was pressure on me, even by the time, by 28 I finished what I was doing at the local government level. At 29 I was nominated by the military then to become a commissioner in my state. So there was pressure to get married,
Where was the pressure coming from?
From people around me. You made money, you made power, go and marry.
You with a woman and thought you must connect with her?
No, you see, I related before my marriage very well with the opposite sex, but I was careful. I'm a gentleman.
Apparently.
And they thought I was over-selective and everything. And I put it to prayer and asked God to give me my wife.
So at what age did you get married?
I got married at 34.
That was a bit late.
It wasn't late. It wasn't late. It was when I'm supposed to, when I found my wife.
What did you find? What did you find in her?
And a good woman, good Christian. She has a good heart. And she loved me and still loves me and will continue to love me.
Do you love her as much as she loves?
Very well.
Okay.
And she knows that I love her.
What are your children? What are your children doing? Are anyone of them into looking at the possibility of going into politics?
No, they're in school, and I think while in secondary school, one or two, they contested for positions in their school, activities. I was in Students' Union, and even one led a demonstration, my second daughter.
Oh my goodness. You're about to go on a short holiday to an island for 10 days. Yeah? You'll be required to take only 5 items along with you. What will they be?
I will take the Bible, which is the living word of God. If there is a golf course there, I will go with my golf bag. Then I'll find one autobiography or biography of somebody.
You read a lot of books?
I'll read it. I'm more interested in reading biographies and all that.
Now that you are 55, any chance of continuing in politics?
Yes. I'm interested in politics, and I will run for public office very soon. Anything from the Senate going up, which will require age and experience, I'm there. And I'm going to go there with a huge, experience, garnered over the years. Well, even the Senate that I'm going to run, I believe that.
What are you going to rely on then?
Oh, goodwill, If goodwill still exists in the political lexicon, in Nigeria.
You have our goodwill.
I will leverage on it.
Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you, Manny.
It's been Emeka Nwogu, former Minister of Labor and Productivity, as my guest on The Chat. I'm Manny. Bye for now.